The Vorthak had conquered 17 star systems without breaking a sweat. Well, technically, they didn't sweat. Their chitinous exoskeletons regulated temperature through internal crystalline matrices. But the sentiment remained. For 3 millennia, they had been the galaxy's undisputed apex predators, their 6-meter frames and razor-sharp mandibles serving as the stuff of nightmares across 1,000 worlds. Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Bone Render, watching the primitive blue-green world rotate slowly before them. Earth, the natives called it, the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star in the Outer Rim territories. Intel suggested the inhabitants were bipedal mammals with no natural armor, no venomous capabilities, and laughably primitive technology. Their fastest ships barely achieved sublight speeds. "This should be entertaining," Zithkar chittered to his second-in-command. "Perhaps we'll keep a few as pets." The invasion began at dawn, Earth Standard Time. Vorthak drop pods pierced the atmosphere like meteors, their heat shields glowing cherry red as they descended toward major population centers. Zithkar personally led the assault on what the humans called New York City, a sprawling maze of concrete and steel that would serve as an excellent hunting ground. The pod doors hissed open, and Zithkar emerged into the chaos of screaming primitives fleeing in all directions. His mandibles clicked in satisfaction. This was how all conquest began, with delicious terror. Then something unprecedented happened. A lone human male, wearing what appeared to be casual attire and carrying a beverage container, approached the landing site. He was of average height for his species, with brown hair and the kind of unremarkable features that would make him invisible. In a crowd, he stopped about 10 meters away from Zithkar and tilted his head slightly. "Huh," the human said, taking a sip from his container. "That's new." Zithkar's combat instincts screamed warnings. No prey species had ever reacted this way. Fear, rage, desperate aggression. These were normal responses. Mild curiosity was not in the behavioral matrix. The commander drew himself to his full height, spread his razor wings wide, and released, a bone-chilling roar that had caused entire armies to flee in terror. The sound echoed off the surrounding buildings like the death cry of some primordial god. The human blinked. "Wow, that's loud. Are you okay? You sound congested." Several other Vorthak warriors had emerged from their pods and were now staring at the scene in confusion. Their prey was supposed to run. It was supposed to scream. It was not supposed to express concern about their respiratory health. Zithkar clicked his mandibles menacingly and took a threatening step forward. "Primitive mammal, I am Commander Zithkar of the Vorthak Empire. Your world belongs to us now. Kneel before your new masters or be devoured." The human reached up and scratched the back of his head, looking genuinely puzzled. "Look, I appreciate the whole dramatic presentation thing, but I'm pretty sure that's not how international law works. Have you filed the proper paperwork with the UN? There's a whole process for this sort of thing." "Paperwork?" Zithkar's vocal cords struggled with the concept. In 3,000 years of conquest, no one had ever mentioned paperwork. "Yeah, you know, diplomatic protocols, territorial claims, environmental impact assessments. This kind of mass landing probably violates about 12 different EPA regulations alone." The human gestured at the drop pods, several of which were still smoldering. "Those things aren't exactly eco-friendly." By now, other humans had started to gather. Instead of fleeing in terror, they were taking pictures with small devices and chattering excitedly among themselves. Some were even live-streaming the encounter. "Oh my God, are those real aliens?" one human exclaimed. "They look like giant lobsters," another observed. "Quick, someone get David Attenborough." Zithkar felt something he had never experienced before. Complete bewilderment. His species had evolved as persistence hunters, capable of tracking prey across continents through sheer intimidation and relentless pursuit. But these humans seemed utterly unintimidated. If anything, they appeared to be treating the invasion as some sort of entertainment. The first human was still standing there, apparently waiting for an answer about the paperwork. "I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult," he continued, "but my tax dollars go toward funding various defense agencies, and I'm pretty sure they'd want to know about this. Have you tried calling ahead?" Even pizza delivery guys call first. We are apex predators, Scythekar stammered. We have conquered 17 star systems. That's nice, the human replied politely. But did you have proper authorization for those conquests? Because if this is some kind of expansionist policy without due process, I think there might be some violations of the Geneva Convention. Well, probably the Galactic Geneva Convention, if that's a thing. One of Zithkar's subordinates leaned over and whispered, "Commander, what's a Geneva Convention?" "I don't know," Zithkar hissed back. "What's paperwork? What's an EPA?" More humans were arriving, including several wearing official-looking uniforms and carrying clipboards. They approached the Vorthak warriors with the casual confidence of parking enforcement officers. "Excuse me," one of them called out. "Are you folks responsible for these unauthorized atmospheric entries? We're going to need to see some permits." "Permits?" Zithkar's voice cracked. "And insurance documentation," another official added. "The property damage from these landings is going to require proper liability coverage." The original human finished his beverage and gestured helpfully toward the officials. "See, I told you there was a process. These folks will get you sorted out. Might take a while, though. Bureaucracy, you know how it is." As forms were thrust into his claws and requests for identification numbers were made in increasingly impatient tones, Commander Zithkar began to understand that his species had encountered something far more terrifying than any weapon or military force. They had encountered human administrative efficiency. 3 hours later, the Vorthak invasion force found themselves sitting in a DMV-style waiting room, holding numbered tickets and watching a screen that displayed "Now serving Urzaro Mawera 1, while they held tickets numbered in the thousands. The same human who had first approached them walked by, holding a fresh beverage. He paused and gave them a sympathetic look. "First time dealing with Earth bureaucracy?" he asked kindly. "Yeah, it's rough. But hey, once you get through all this, I'm sure we can work something out. Maybe a cultural exchange program? The folks at the State Department love that stuff." Commander Zithkar looked at his mighty warriors, reduced to filling out forms in triplicate, and wondered if conquest had always been this complicated on other worlds, or if humans were just naturally gifted at making everything inexplicably difficult. In the end, the Vorthak Empire became the first galactic power to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth, complete with proper documentation, environmental compliance certificates, and a comprehensive trade agreement that took 18 months to negotiate. And every year on the anniversary of first contact, humans celebrated by scratching their heads and asking, "Wait, what were we talking about again?"